Hi guys, so I wanted to share with you all an example of what I tend to deliver to my meditation evenings. So when participants come into a meditation evening, we tend to rock and roll a little bit along the floor and adjust and find a comfortable seated or supine position. So we find a way for the body to relax as best as possible first up. And the initial relaxation is not so much a deep relaxation, but it's about connection. So it's about moving away from the busyness of your day, your week, your month, perhaps your year, the things that are playing on your mind, and coming back to more simple control. So I tend to encourage people from time to time to place the hands upon the lower ribs. Here comes Mr. Brucey just to say a quick hello. The reason why we place our hands on the lower ribs is to help to direct the breath more laterally. So we're wanting to breathe more horizontally and feeling those lower ribs making their way into the hands, opening up the body in that region of the body, rather than feeling like you're utilizing your accessory muscles higher up in the chest or in the neck. When we overuse those accessory respiratory muscles, that's when we start to get a lot of strain and tightness and tension in those parts of the body. So taking some time to direct the breath a little more low, getting the diaphragm to actually do its job. And in this way, we're not only connecting to the diaphragm, but we're strengthening its ability to work. So really important to tune in, to connect, and just to see how we're feeling. So if you find this particularly difficult, that lateral breathing, simply just placing the hands to this area and just allowing the breath to flow without control, without anything being forced to change is more than enough. Finding that nice, quiet place within. And then we can let this practice go, wriggling through the fingers, stretching the arms up overhead, all the way to the floor if that is comfortable. Flexing through the feet, so we're getting a nice stretch not only through the feet but through the legs as well. Beautiful full body stretch out along the floor. And then just starting to bend the knees in. You can lift the knees up upon the chest. It's really nice to come into some knee hug movements. So we're hugging the knees close to the chest, but then we're starting to really slowly circle them around. So you're massaging the back of the body into the mat, into the floor, into the earth, as if you were drawing with your knees. And you work that a few times in one direction and then starting to unravel into the opposite way, as if you were unraveling directly from your spine. Nice, smooth and easy, going gentle on the body. So from here we're going to interlace the hands and wrap the hands around the right knee, hugging the right knee in towards the right shoulder and letting the left foot drop down to the floor. A little rock and roll into that knee just to see how this feels, and if you would like to, you can of course extend the left leg out along the floor. If that feels a little bit too deep of a stretch, you would just bend that knee again and slide that foot in. Then placing the left hand upon left hip, we're going to let the knee open out a little more to the right side, not too deep, but just enough to get a little bit of a release into that inner hip flexor. Going to swap that over, so your left hand now draws the right knee across the body. Again, we're not coming over too deep, we're just coming into a nice gentle twist here. A little bit of a squeeze effect to the internal organs and opening up into the lower back. And just exploring how that feels. Now as you arrive back to center, we're going to hug the knee in one more time before extending it vertically up towards the ceiling. Now you might have a straight leg here or a slightly bent knee, allowing the hands to initially hug at the back of the thigh before opening the arms wide. Going to try to send that leg halfway down to the floor, trying to sense where that might be with a little pause, and then allowing the leg to release completely. Full body release when the heel touches down to the ground. Breathing steady. And then we're going to swap this all over to the other side. So starting off with both knees bent, we're going to interlace the hands around the left knee, hug it in towards the left shoulder, a little rock and roll so that you can tune into how this side feels. It might be really different. An option to extend that right leg out along the floor. Breathing with the stretch. And these supine knee hugs are really great just to create that nice release into the hip, but also into the back. So we're opening up now, placing the right hand to right hip and letting the knee float out just a little to the left side. And then swapping that action over. So knee's going to draw across the body a little bit. Supine twist here, nothing too deep. Just a nice gentle approach, remembering that these movements tend to be a precursor to meditation. So we're not wanting to generate too much heat in the body or too much energy, but just connection and kindness. Drawing back in, we're going to extend the leg vertically now, hugging the back of the thigh, creating that beautiful extension. And then arms are going to open out to the sides as the leg travels halfway down to the floor. Abs are supporting here, lower back is flushed with the floor, there's a pause, and then controlling that release all the way down. Full body release here as you let go and breathe steady. Beautiful, both knees bending back in. You're going to find your reclined bound angle here. So soles of the feet are going to meet together, knees open out wide. Your lower back is going to arch up and away from the floor here like you're creating a little bridge. Arms are going to crisscross above your head, so as if you're framing your face. Now a few points to make here. If the arms above the head is a bit too much for the shoulders, you can just extend the arms out to the sides or beside you. If creating that arch into the lower back feels too extreme or it pinches into your back in any way, you would just reduce the depth of that stretch. So you certainly don't have to be lifting away from the floor. Some people find this really nice to recline over a pillow or a bolster if you have one handy. You can certainly do that to support your back further if this is a little bit too deep. But this is a fantastic way to open up into the frontal plane and chain of the body, creating wonderful space here. So here we're going to extend just the left leg out along the floor as the hands find the lower ribs again, coming into a variation of your supine Vrksasana or tree pose. And using this time, this quiet space to reconnect again to that lateral breathing. So that connection to the lower ribs, breathing along that horizontal plane rather than using those higher accessory muscles. Going to mindfully come back to that bound angle, and then we're going to be swapping the legs over. So right leg's going to extend now and exploring this side. And this is a nice restorative way to keep those gentle stretches happening throughout the hips and throughout the pelvis as well. Breathing steady, keeping that connection nice and gentle. And just allowing that coolness to pervade the body. And your lovely foot returning back to its partner, observing your bound angle once more, and the balance you've created throughout both sides. So from here we're going to bend the knees, separate the feet, right arm extends, and rolling the body over as one unit to come up off the floor. We're going to end off here in our puppy dog pose. So we approach this from tabletop position with the toes tucked under to the floor before taking a step further forward with both hands. That extension of the arms allows you then to drop the head, beautiful stretch out of the upper back and in particular at the shoulders here. Now you're in charge of how deep you take this, so if it feels too much, you would just take a step back with your hands. Coming out of this gently and simply now finding a comfortable seat. So you've worked through those movements to come into that quiet space. Now you don't need to place the hands at this stage at the lower ribs. They might just be more comfortable resting into your lap. Closing down the eyes if that suits you at this time. Adjusting anything that needs to be adjusted, and then relaxing your facial muscles. Initially here, connecting with your body and how it feels, the way that it has responded to that very short practice, but hopefully now feeling a little more connected. As you start to move away from those physical fit sensations, bring your attention and awareness back to the lower rib cage, back to the idea, the concept of horizontal breathing. And imagine again that those lower ribs could expand and open like wings out to the sides on inhalation, and then retract and draw back towards each other on exhalation, without too much other movement going on in the rest of the body. Nice and easy breathing. So thank you so much for joining me here in this practice today.